Welcome to the House Husband Diaries. Welcome back to the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. And today we are going for an imagination solve. Got some comments that I say too much, but you know what? I've got a whole sheet here. I've got the thrill of the chase marked, and I'll do my best to pause rather than say how's that for you? So today is an imagination solve. I'm pretty sure that I will be posting this on Christmas Day. I've been kind of out of commission for a few days, almost a week. I'm trying to do these videos and do some research, and for whatever reason, the pup, I don't know if you can hear him, he's out here, he's getting so big. We'll get a, I just said, we'll get a, like a cameo of the pup here, of Eno, one of these days. I don't know, he's a little rambunctious. I just took him for a walk, so I'm trying to learn how to be a dad and also keep the house running and then put out some daily content for you crazy YouTube consumers out there. So this is an imagination solve. I've got a couple of solves that involve using a wild imagination. And this imagination solve has more to do with time and memories. And when I look at some of the themes, so I'll do another video pretty soon, and it may even be posted the day or two after Christmas. I'm still working on that, but I will do a series of videos on themes. And when I've read through The Thrill of the Chase a number of times, I don't know how many times I've read through it by now, a handful. But I have a spreadsheet going, and there are just a number of themes. I may have 25 or 30 themes. I also watch, I should have looked it up before I started recording this episode, but the fella, Forrest Fenn Learning Curve, who's out of Japan, that guy, I don't remember what his name is, or if you watch this, what your name is, but I love your videos. And he just said on a video that like people were putting out content about like solves and things that he didn't want to hear because he has his own, and he thought, well, I totally butcher that. I apologize in advance because I've never met you, but I'm putting out ideas and solves. I look at it completely differently, but then again, I haven't invested any of my money, and he's made several trips over from Japan and met Forrest and everything. So totally different, like polar opposite ways of going about it. But I really enjoy his videos, the way he thinks about things. And I was looking at the imagination solves, how do I use my imagination, and I haven't really heard a whole lot of imagination. People either think their imagination is spot on, and so they keep it to themselves, or there was that one girl that put out the Colorado video, and red was a type of brown or something, and red's in the Colorado state flag. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but it was fascinating to see someone's mind at work in their imagination. So I have several imagination solves. This one is my time / memories imagination solve, and then I'll put out another imagination solve in time, depending on how people like the imagination and the different thought processes. And then obviously, like I said, I have the themes, and I'm sure this microphone picks it up, but this dog is crazy. So, no sir, back up. No sir. Well, because I don't edit, because I used to edit videos for a living, and it just seems like a waste of time to me. I'm not a professional editor anymore, not that I ever was, and so I'm not really worried about that. But anyway, that's what happens when you have a German Shorthair Pointer puppy who after you take him for a walk and everything else, he's just going to go crazy, and that's just how it works. So anyway, let's move on. Imagination song, time and memories, right? So let's start from the beginning of where warm water salt, and then we'll end down at if you found the blaze, look quickly down, because those are where the 9 clues are. So there's a number of themes in terms of time and memories, and you look at the different stories that Forrest shares in The Thrill of the Chase, and there's this thought or running theme of time, of what happens when you die, and time keeps on passing. People forget you. You know, our lives are just, you know, but a speck of dust and asterisks in the history books that may never be written. And so one of the things that keeps us alive after we're dead is our memories, the memories that our loved ones have of us, the memories that other people have of us, the news. In today's day and age, obviously YouTube and books and other things that can keep the memory of someone alive. And so I think that is sort of a very interesting theme that I don't hear a lot of people talk about or really dive into as we try to get to know Forrest. Because I think a part of this chase, the thrill of the chase, is not just figuring out the words in the poem, but in Forrest's own words, he's a maverick. And so he's going to be playing word games that you have to, you know, they say Fenn speak, right? You've got to be able to figure out who Forrest is, why Forrest would use words, you know, all of that jazz. And so for me, this theme of time and of memories and wanting to supersede the end of your life and to carry on, I think is something that the word that keeps popping in my mind is indelible, and that's in the thrill of the chase. And I think, I don't even know if I'm using that correctly, Forrest, but it's a great word. And so, you know, when he says, begin it where warm waters halt, and I think of warm waters, as I said in my warm waters video for clue number 1, there's a lot of mentions, a large number of mentions, I should say, of tears in the thrill of the chase. And I find that fascinating. And, you know, Forrest says, look at the aberrations in the thrill of the chase. And I just wonder why a grown man would choose in a memoir about, you know, his life, but also to put this poem for this treasure hunt. Why would you pick a number of stories, like 5 or 7 stories that have tears in them, that have you crying? It's an aberration to me. That doesn't make sense to me. Most men, I'm not one of them. I'm a house husband, right? I'm a very emotional man. But let's be honest, most men, especially breadwinning men, right, are not the crying type. And so to put in a number of stories about tears and then have the first clue to be where warm waters halt, it just sticks out to me. It doesn't have to stick out to you, but to me it sticks out. And so what I think is fascinating is tears stop in 2 places, at least in how I've thought of this. Tears stop at time, and they stop in your hands when you wipe your tears away, right? So the first here, let me get this up. The first part of the book that I'll read, first quotes, and I'm learning how to do this but it's on page 95 in My War for Me, and he says, I'll read the whole paragraph. It's the first paragraph on page 95, and it says, is it fair that no one recalls where those brave French soldiers fell and are now interred in that remote jungle clearing, hidden from life for 1,000,000 sunsets? Hasn't Forrest said if it was maybe, you know, 1,000, 2,000 years, 1,000,000 years, who knows? 1,000,000 sunsets divided by 365. I don't know how to do the math. After a violent ending They have been swallowed up in a serenely beautiful place, and at the same time hidden by the ravages of time and nature. Those who fell there, in that hateful, wasteful, losing war, like the one in which I was involved, are forever forgotten, save by me. It has been 56 years since that war, and no one cries anymore. That thought is deeply personal and indelible in me even now, 42 years after I was there. That's where I got indelible. That's why that was sticking in my mind as I was prepping for it. But he says it's been 56 years since that war, and no one cries anymore. So there's something about there are no more tears. Where warm waters halt, 50 years, 56 years. There's something about time where people forget, those memories are forgotten. People stop crying. And then again on page 100, it's the third paragraph down. He says, "It is more than sad to me, not just that the French soldiers are dead and buried, but that no one knows where they are or even who they were. No one is crying now that a half a century has passed. The ground knows and the tall grass knows, but they won't tell. And what of the wives and children of those soldiers? Have they gone on to live with 100 forgotten memories? Sure they have. So there's something about time and memories. Begin it where warm waters halt, right? What does that say anything to you? Am I out in left field? I know I'm out in left field. Like, let's be honest, I live in left field, but I think there's something there. It's fascinating. So if tears halt at time and the memories halt at time, then where do we start? You know, what does that mean? How do we? If warm waters are halting, then we take it in the canyon down. And what I thought was interesting about taking it in the canyon down is on page 48, it's the one time that I know of that he mentions canyons in The Thrill of the Chase, is he says, in that first paragraph, most of the way down, when he's talking about washing the dishes, each dish and pan had to be washed by hand, dipped in scalding water and dried. Whew! My hands turned white and had deep canyons in them. And then he goes on, what I really hated to wash were the giant kettles used for making brown gravy. Smell truly assaulted my sensitivities, and that's why I don't eat brown gravy anymore, which people, you know, that's where he mentions brown. But I thought it's interesting because that's the one place where he mentions canyon. So tears can stop in your hands, which have canyons. I mean, that's a stretch in some ways. But on the other hand, I thought, you know, if we're talking about time and memories, then what about memory lane? Because the next line, not far, but too far to walk. Well, in order for me, or in order for Forrest to go back in his memory bank, take a walk down memory lane, if you will, to remember those stories and those times and put them down on paper in the book, he didn't have to go far. He didn't have to move at all. He just went into his memory bank in his brain. So he went not far, but it's way too far to walk. You can't walk back in time. We couldn't get there. So I wonder if he's just being metaphorical and saying, hey, I took a walk down memory lane. It's not far. It's too far to walk. And the other thing that I thought of in the memory banks, in the memory lane, is canyons. If canyons can be in your hands when they get wet because they swell all up and they get ripples and canyons in them, well, if we're talking memories, our brains have crevices and ripples and canyons in them as well if you're going through your brain to figure out memories. I think that's a stretch, but we'll see. So if we've gone down memory lane, then what happens when we put in below the home of Brown? Well, how do we, if it's sad that memories that these people are forgotten. There's no more memories and no one cries. What do we do for those people that we want to remember, that we want to live on because they died too soon? We build statues of them. We cast bronzes of them. We display them. We create memorials for them. So put in below the home of Brown, maybe there's some bronze, there's some statue, there's some memorial out there that speaks to Forrest, there's something that is a waypoint of put in below the home of Brown. The other thing is that I mentioned in that video, the clue number 4 video, is I'm not 100% sold that the home of Brown, or I'm not 100% convinced that the home of Brown isn't just the home of the bronze treasure chest. I think he could just be saying, we put in below the home of Brown. It's right there. Now, we don't have any markers to say put in below the home of the treasure chest, at least in this imaginative psalm. So I'm thinking maybe there's a bronze statue. Maybe we come out of imagination and there's a bronze statue, a bronze memorial, a bronze something that's brown. Maybe it's somebody's name, but I don't know what his connection to the Browns would be, why that would be special. So I haven't looked into it. I'm probably never going to look into it. If that's, what I'm missing, then so be it, right? Good thing I'm in North Carolina. So then we move on to the next thing. From there, it's no place for the meek. Now, the first thing that I thought of, and I think many people think of, is meek is opposite of brave. Native Americans, the Indian braves. But that doesn't really, I could probably make that into a solve as far as like a time or memories, because the Native Americans are forgotten. I hadn't really thought about that until just now. So my thought was, there's something interesting on page 101. And he writes this, or he borrows from Omar Khayyam, I probably butchered that, who died in the first quarter of the 12th century. His words are some of those that tell the insidious stories the best, stories that have made me think. And then the last paragraph of that last stanza of that stanza, I guess it's a poem, is strange is it not, that of the myriads who before us passed the door of darkness through, not one returns to tell us of the road which to discover we must travel to. And when I look at from there it's no place for the meek, I think about passing the door of darkness through, because no one has returned to tell us of that road. And we're on a journey, we're on a quest, and no one can tell us. So do we have to pass some door of darkness? It's not for the meek. Because in order to discover, we must travel as well. It's TOO, not travel to a destination. It's travel as well. So is there some road to darkness? Is that a memory? Is it being brave to go back in your memory banks, in Forrest memory banks, to times that were less than pleasant? War is not, most people that are involved in war that have seen death do not openly talk about it. I know my grandparents didn't talk about it. I have a number of friends that are in the military and have been either in Afghanistan or elsewhere, and it is that is not something they don't like. Hey, let's go to dinner and let me tell you about all the things that I saw out in war, or when I was on patrol. Like that, it just doesn't happen. The only time that kind of stuff comes up is when you're alone and you're out fishing, or you're out in the woods, or you're just alone together, and there's just a weight that needs to be lifted. So maybe there's no place for the meek has something to do with memory, and you're going back into these memories that are dark, this road of darkness, and it's tough. So it's not necessarily a place. It's just talking about these memories. Maybe it confirms something like a memorial. The end is ever drawing nigh is the next one. I still don't know if that's a left. I still think it just means maybe it's just the end is drawing near. We're getting close to the treasure. We're getting close to the end of the poem, close to the end of the clues. So in every poem, you have to have words that rhyme. So maybe he just needed something to rhyme with water high, right? So then line 6, there will be no paddle up your creek. Now this one I just find so interesting because it could be a dry creek bed or just a dribbling creek bed, something with a waterfall, something you can't paddle up. It could be a little water feature. And maybe they're at this memorial, this bronze statue, they put a little water feature. And technically it's a creek, could be a little recess, something. You're not going to paddle up it. So then what are heavy loads and water high? Because there's no paddle up your creek. There's just heavy loads and water high. And the heavy loads and water high for this imaginative solve with time and memories, I mean, the heavy loads to me are all of the stresses, right? There's so many sins. There's so many stresses in life that we carry, and yet water high again is tears that comes out. There's no paddle up this creek. I'm still looking for an imaginative part of the paddle up your creek. Maybe there's the statue and the statue's crying. Maybe there's a creek. Who knows? There's a canyon in their face or something, and the tears are coming down. I mean, for all I know, Forrest could make anything work. That's what's so crazy. And not knowing that area, not knowing Santa Fe, Taos, New Mexico, or the Yellowstone, Montana area, or the Cody, Wyoming area, it makes it really difficult to try to think of maybe some of the things that he sees on a daily basis, or the things that he's seen on a daily basis that may spark emotion for him in order to do this crazy thing of hiding a treasure and putting us all on a hunt. So then I thought, well, something that's less imaginative and maybe more, since we've moved out of imagination and we're now at a physical location, maybe it just is a water feature. Maybe there's some rocks, or there's a mini waterfall or a little pond in this water feature, and you just there's no paddle up your creek. There's just heavy loads and water high up there, and you got to go around. Maybe there's a dry creek bed or a little creek that runs by the memorial, and you take that up. Just the heavy loads and water high. But regardless, the last clue is we've got to be wise and find the blaze. So there's something about wisdom here. Is it a mark on a rock? Is it, a bronze that has fire and flame in it? Is it just like that's the blaze? Or is there something about teaching the next generation? Is there some wisdom that comes for smiling at a homely girl? Is there some wisdom that, teach a man to fish and he can feed himself for a lifetime rather than giving a man a fish? What wise sayings are there in the thrill of the chase? And at this point, that I circled that as I was finishing the preparation for this video, and I'm wondering how wise fits into finding the blaze. So I'll end it here. This is an imaginative solve for time and memories. Obviously, I go in and out of imagination. I'm trying to figure out how to marry some of the clues to places. And like I've said in other videos, if I haven't, I'll say it now. I'm just trying to put thoughts, information out there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And really, it's just about kind of bouncing around ideas. Really what I want out of this, since I'm so many thousands of miles away, is I want to see the riddles solved. I would love to know what Forrest was thinking and how all of this works out. It's fascinating to me that it hasn't been found at this point. And so that's why I thought, hey, I'm gonna spend about half my time on this channel, just putting stuff out there, doing all, like, sharing publicly the thoughts and things as I read through, as I've made notes, and then maybe it'll spark something in your imagination. Maybe it sparks something in your saw. Maybe it confirms something, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it completely destroys something you have, and you go, oh, what I have is crap, and this is way better. Probably not, but hey. Who knows? So thanks for watching, and let me know, in the comments. Let me know if you have anything that maybe makes this work better, that doesn't. And yeah, I enjoy doing these. I'll keep doing them. So shoot me a line if you have anything you want me to do an episode on. I'm more than happy to spend some time doing some research and putting stuff together. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll get to the next episode soon. Have a great day.